Welcome everyone to NoDQ&A video here on NoDQ.com. As some of you noticed from the last video, I got the Halloween decorations up. It's mid-September. I was thinking about doing late August because you know how it is. Everybody gets ready for the holiday 2 or 3 months in advance. I already see Christmas decorations at the Dollar Tree, so yeah. And that's where I got all this stuff, Dollar Tree. Best place to get Halloween decorations in my opinion. But I'm not going to ramble. This is NoDQ&A video. We get straight to the point. Let's get right down to your questions. Hey Aaron, what's your favorite present-day pay-per-view besides WrestleMania? Mine is the Royal Rumble. I agree with you. The Royal Rumble, to me, has always actually been the most exciting WWE pay-per-view of the year, sometimes even more than WrestleMania. I love the 30-man Royal Rumble match. It's always been one of my favorites. You know, bring a whole group of friends over and we try to guess who's going to come out. We do a pool, a Royal Rumble pool. Pick a bunch of numbers, see who's going to win. Yeah, it's always a lot of fun. Love the Royal Rumble. I don't understand why everyone loves the Attitude Era. It is booked in Vince Russo's Crash TV style. I cannot stand anything that Russo books. The man cannot tell a good story to save his life. Why do so many people love the Attitude Era? Okay, a few things. First of all, the Attitude Era was, it was like a party atmosphere. That was why it was so popular. But keep in mind that it was Steve Austin's drawn power, and then The Rock coming in, becoming a huge star, Mick Foley, Triple H, all these guys stepping up that drew the ratings. Whatever was on the undercard, that was just filler, and WWE could do no wrong during that period. They could have Mark Henry and a transvestite, and they're still going to get the ratings. Yeah, there was a lot of bad stuff during the Attitude Era. Like Beaver Cleavage, PMS, Meat. I mean, when you look at that undercard, some of that stuff was pretty unbearable. But like I said, it was entertaining. It was part of the party atmosphere. Godfather coming out with the pimps and hoes. It's kind of stupid, but it was fun. Deborah with the puppies, It was like one big party. And another thing about Vince Russo is that he had a filter. Vince McMahon had the final say in everything. I'm sure there were plenty of times where Russo had a really bad idea and Vince just said, no, this is too stupid, we're not going to do it. And when Russo went to WCW, there was no filter. When Russo went to TNA, there was no filter. So that's the big difference right there. Hey Aaron, here's a question. Would WWE let anyone come into the franchise and use anything Chris Benoit related, like music, clothing, etc.? No. The only thing that you're going to see is maybe the crossface, but that's about it. We've seen a number of guys use the crossface, but beyond that, there's not going to be any kind of reference to Chris Benoit. Do you think WWE will stick to the 40-man Royal Rumble, or was it just a one-time thing? Do you think one year they might do a 50-man? I sincerely hope they do not do a 50-man Royal Rumble. That would be too much. 40 was kind of pushing it. I'd rather them just stick to the traditional 30-man Royal Rumble. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. My opinion. What is going on with TNA wrestling? I remember when everyone thought that TNA would be the ones to put WWE out of business. Who thought this? And now TNA's big angle is Sting wanting to fight Hulk Hogan so that Dixie Carter can have the company back. What's going on with TNA wrestling is that they have no idea what they're doing. They have all these guys that they're paying a lot of money to, Hulk Hogan, RVD. They're throwing a million things at the wall, hoping something will stick, and nothing is really stuck. They tried going on Monday nights, only lasted a few months. They got destroyed. Their pay-per-view buy rates are in the toilet. Their ratings are, they're running on a treadmill. They've been doing 1.0, 1.1 for 5 years now. So TNA's desperately trying to make something. They're trying to get out of Orlando, thinking that's the solution to the problems. But as we all know, the problem with TNA is that it's the whole booking, it's the whole presentation of the product. And until that changes, until Vince Russo's gone or whoever's responsible for the television is gone and replaced with somebody else, there's never really going to be any change with TNA. What do you think about the current WWE belt designs? And do you think they could bring back some of the older belts? Well, it's just me personally. Frankly, I've never cared about belts that much. I'm not a belt collector like some people. But I was a fan of the older belts, I guess, because that's what I grew up with. I like the Winged Eagle belt and the old IC title from the late 80s, early 90s. Those are just my personal preferences. The belts don't even mean anything anymore. They're just a prop. So I don't know. And like I said in a previous No DQ&A video, with the whole spinner belt, a lot of people hate it, but a lot of people like it. It sells a lot of merchandise. So WWE is going to do whatever sells the merchandise. That's the bottom line. If you were to take over TNA right now, how would you change the product and what talent would you let go and bring in? Well, this is going back to earlier. If it was me, I would get a complete overhaul in terms of the creative team. Now, you don't want to make changes immediately. You want to try to make it a gradual process, like the Attitude Era. It just didn't happen overnight. WWE slowly changed their product and got it to where they wanted it to be. So TNA needs to just have a long-term game plan, bring in some new people with fresh ideas and a fresh vision, and let them slowly change the product and turn it into something else. And hopefully that will be more appealing to fans than the current product. It's definitely not a 1 week or 1 month process with TNA. And as far as who I would let go, get rid of most of the veterans. The future of your company is there. You have Daniels, Bobby Roode, Kazarian, Samoa Joe. These are the guys that should have been pushed all along, and these stop and start pushes have just really damaged these guys. And I don't know if they're salvageable at this point, but a good writer, a good visionary can take these guys and maybe do something with them and make them mean something and make them superstars. So yeah, definitely the creative team is the big issue right there. Changing that up and getting some new people in there, because wrestling really needs something different. In the 90s, it changed. There was a revolution with ECW and the wrestling getting more edgier, and just it changed from the cartoon aspect to something more serious and realistic. Maybe wrestling needs to become a little bit more like MMA, maybe push it more like a sport again. It just needs a change. Wrestling needs a change. What was your opinion on the Buff Bagwell versus Booker T match on Raw for the WCW Championship? Well, it wasn't really either their faults for the match bombing. What happened was they both came out in Tacoma, Washington. They were going to do the WCW title match on Raw, and the crowd just did, on that night, that Tacoma crowd did not want to see a WCW match. Right when the bell rang, the crowd was booing them out of the building, chanting boring. Those guys never had a chance. Now, as far as Buff Bagwell goes, I guess his backstage attitude was what led to his early demise there. But yeah, it was just unfortunate, because WWE was going to try to do a WCW brand, and maybe if the crowd was hot for that match, then it would have led to something better. But yeah, things just didn't go the way that we all probably wanted it to go. Hey Aaron, what do you consider the best WrestleMania ever and why? Well, I always liked WrestleMania 3 because of the Hogan-Andre match and because of Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage. But I think top to bottom, the best WrestleMania would be 17. Just the entire card was just tremendous. Austin and Rock was one of the best WWE matches of all time until the finish. Now, some of you that have followed me over the years know that I've been very critical of that match. I never liked the Steve Austin heel turn. I thought it was a really bad move for business, and it was. When Austin turned, the ratings started dropping, and just people would not accept Steve Austin as a heel. And in order to get Austin as a heel, they had to completely change his character. They had to turn him into a coward and so on and so forth. It just didn't work. It wasn't Steve Austin's character. And I know it was Steve Austin's idea. He wanted to turn heel because he was just tired of being a babyface, but it just wasn't the right move for business. And yeah, it really put a damper on WrestleMania 17, because just him shaking hands with Vince, it's not what people want to see. But everything else up until that point was just excellent. That was just the best WrestleMania card. I also like 19. I also thought 19 had a really good card, and had 3 big main event matches: Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, and then Austin and Rock again. Another great match between those two, and Hogan versus Vince, and then just the rest of the card: Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels. Just a dream WrestleMania card. So 19 and 17 would be at the top for me, and of course WrestleMania 3. All right, that about does it for No DQ&A video. I would like to thank each and every one of you, the No D crew, and please leave your feedback. Go to youtube.com/NoDQCW. Let me know what you thought about today's show. If you had control TNA, what would you do? Who would you put in charge to run the company? Who would you fire? Who would you hire? Let me know what you think, and please subscribe. Please spread the word to your friends. Anybody you know that watches wrestling, have them check out No DQ&A video. And on that note, we'll see you next time.